When the Europeans first sailed the ocean blue, they didn't realize they were connecting two worlds, the old and the new, with their roots. It is, in a similar vein, we must not forget the past and reconnect with our history. As Eminem once said, knowledge is power, but powerless if you got it and do not acknowledge it. Sitting only a football stadium's distance away from the Bronx East River shore lies a mysterious island that barely anyone notices or even knows about. Covered in forest, most people passing by assume it to be a nature preserve, but the truth is, it is much more historical. It is actually an abandoned, rumored to be haunted, island. But what is this place about? And more pressing, can you get there to explore? This is North Brother Island. Uninhabited until 1885, North Brother Island was opened for human inhabitants by Riverside Hospital in Manhattan. Originally founded for smallpox treatment, the island was made by the hospital franchise for people to be quarantined for highly dangerous diseases they carried, such as tuberculosis. For several years, medical equipment, doctors, and patients were shipped to the island. Due to the fact that it was an isolated area, many professionals set up residential quarters to stay there over the course of their stay on the island. All went fairly well during this time period until in 1904, a steamship named the General Slocum crashed off the shore of the island due to technical errors that occurred, resulting in the most horrific loss of life New York City has ever seen before 9/11. At least 1,021 lives, majority of which were women and children, died in the tragic accident. This was the first in a series of events that eventually sealed the island's reputation back then as a place of suffering. As history passed by, people were sent to the island at a pressing rate, and eventually the island's most tragic patient case occurred, and in 1907, a woman named Mary Malone was shipped to the island against her will, as she was labeled an asymptomatic carrier for the disease known as typhoid. She was nicknamed Typhoid Mary and was put in the news for being responsible for 37 typhoid deaths. She was a cook and refused to wash her hands, which allowed typhoid to get into the peach ice cream she served to wealthy patrons of her service. There are also many more accounts of people being taken against their will. Unfortunately for Mary, she died on the island, and it is rumored her ghost haunts the island. The main pavilion was closed in 1943 on the island due to the introduction of tuberculosis vaccine, and in response to World War II, college-age veterans were housed on the island, and after a brief abandonment period in the 1950s, the island once again reopened. Meant to treat and isolate people of all ages addicted to drugs such as heroin, it is heavily criticized for staff corruption. After inspiring a Broadway play, it was abandoned in the 60s for good, after a few unsuccessful attempts of reopening the island for local government services, and as an extension of Rikers Island. It now sits forever in ruins, only for herons and several unique species of waterfowl to reside upon. The Riverside Hospital got transferred to Roosevelt Island, and the extension too is also abandoned, and we even went to this section only to find it in an even more decimated state than the North Brother Island counterpart. Now, let's talk about the landscape and ruins. While the island's twin, South Brother Island, remains a completely uninhabited forest with no buildings, the main island, the one closest to the Bronx shore, contains a plethora of buildings. Several structures lay in the middle of a small woodland on the 22-acre area, including the abandoned pavilions, a nursing ward, several abandoned hospital and testing sites, along with an abandoned shipping dock. The place honestly reminds me of a vaster, more expansive version of the Seaview Hospital wards on Staten Island, which I did a previous video on. When you step foot on the island, you may see some small field mice. The rat populations are nearly extinct on the island, making it very welcoming and vermin-free. The buildings are very fragile, and it is best to practice extreme caution when exploring and testing every step. And in general, I would advise just going on the first floor of most buildings. The weeds and kudzu vines aren't as big of a deal to navigate through as some online vlogs have stated, and could be easily overcome by just wearing long pants and boots. Many treasures exist on the island, however, out of respect for the dead and as per urbexer etiquette, you should not steal them and bring them back. This includes deposits of coins from the early 19th century and books documenting island stats and affairs left behind. If you have time, a quick read of them could give you some great clues as to the past of the once thriving area. The coolest part of the island, though, is the building that resembles a school, as it comes with an abandoned auditorium and principal's office. I say resembles as it is not a school, which many first-timers often mistake it for, but it is instead a ward facility. The place offers many great views of nature, from untouched shores to beautiful forests and great picturesque spots all over. Now, let's discuss how to get there and the regulations around doing so. While I stop discussing how to get to locations in videos themselves, I feel this is of the most importance as much confusion surrounds this topic. In order to get to the island, you need to take a boat on your own volition, as no organizations offer transport to the island. You can rent a speedboat and get a New York City Parks guide to tag along with you if you are lucky to get them to do so, but it is suggested to simply get a cheap kayak and paddle there on your own. Many people choose this method as it is the least complicated way to get to the island, and the place is only a football field distance away. Once you arrive, it is best to land on the eastern shore of the island, as that is where the island's sandy beaches are, and it is best as you could drag your kayak along instead of climbing the dock on the west side, which is the closest one to the Bronx shore. Just row a circle around the place close to the edge of the island for best visibility. As for legality, it is illegal, I repeat, illegal to visit in between March 21st and September 21st of each year, as that is when the island is closed for bird migrations. But it is legal to visit between October and February. Due to the fact that the area is a place for kayaking recreation, you do not need a permit unless you are planning on doing an expedition wherein you are carrying equipment such as scientific devices that could help habitat disruption. If you are in need of a permit for such needs, a link to the permit form will be in the description, but it is temporarily closed due to COVID-19. The best example of people going to the island is by a YouTube channel currently called Dream Wild, where they demonstrate just how easy it is for anyone to visit the island, and they spent an entire night camp there. I am not sponsored by them, but they are great, and you should check them out, as they remind me of Mr. Beast type content and are just starting up.
This tent was $30 from Walmart. Everything we have right now we just got from our houses. We came here essentially for free. We just really wanted to prove that you don't need money to be able to dream wild.
The decay of the buildings could be very beautiful, and if you are looking for an adventurous day out, go to this amazing place. It is often that we waste life just passing by day to day, and if you are into risk-taking like sometimes I am, this place is the jackpot. Stay safe, but other than that, enjoy this wondrous land, straight out of a novel, and be adventurous. Until next time, have a great day. Ian Fernandez out. Never